Good morning, students. Here it is the poem Childhood, written by Marcus Nathan for class 11. The name of the book is Hornbill. It is the third video in which I would like to tell you about the summary of the poem, and then I will tell you some more facts that are the question answers as well as. So you will like to listen it. The poet seems puzzled about the loss of childhood. It is natural in the process of growing up. Still, the poet tries to find an answer to his two queries. What is that? When did his childhood go? And where did his childhood go? The first possibility of the time of departure of his childhood relates to the age when he had completed the age of 11. It was then that he developed a power of understanding. Then he became aware that hell and heaven could not be found in geography, since they could not be located wherever he found in the world. Thus he concludes that they did not exist. He reached a logical conclusion based on his reasoning power. The second possibility relates to the time when he realized the hypocrisy of an adult. They were not at all according to their words and actions. They talk of love and give advice of love, but really do not act so generously and affectionately. The third possibility relates to the time when he realized the hypocrisy of the adults, and that I told you they do not affect. The third one relates to the time when he found that he was the master of his mind. He could use it whichever way he chose. He could now produce his own thoughts and need not repeat those of others. A sense of individuality dawned upon him. He wonders whether he lost his childhood on one of those days. In the final stanza, the poet dwells on the problem where his childhood has disappeared. On the basis of his limited knowledge, he thinks that the childhood went to some forgotten place that was hidden in an infant's face. The poet implies that adolescence followed childhood in the same way as childhood had replaced infancy. It is a stage in the process of growing up. So here he realized that it had happened. They advised others to be loving, but themselves were hardly affectionate. When did the poet lose his childhood? Was it when he realized that he was the master of his mind, took his own decisions, and sense of individuality dawned on him? Here, where did the poet's childhood disappear? To some forgotten place, hidden in an infant's face. He thinks like that. So here you have to understand these things. Next is that what is the theme? Outlines the difference between childhood and adulthood. Childhood is a stage that follows infancy. Adulthood is a stage that follows childhood. Now there are some question answers that I must tell you. What question does the poet ask again and again in this poem? That you can repeat. In this poem, the poet is really confused. He asks the question again and again, when did my childhood go? So that is clear. Question number 2. The poet has discussed two stages of life, childhood and adulthood. How do we differentiate one from the other? The childhood has been considered by the poet as a blissful period in one's life where a child trusts everyone. Adulthood is marked by rational and creative thoughts, ability to perceive and differentiate and learn new things. In this stage of life, one also learns to be double faced and crafty. Question number 3. What did the poet realize when he crossed the age of 11 years? When the poet crossed the age of 11 years, he realized that he had lost his childhood and had developed a mind of his own. He also found out the non-existence of hell and heaven. How did the poet conclude that hell and heaven were imaginary places? The poet concluded that hell and heaven were imaginary places because geography books contain names of places, but there is no mention of places like hell or heaven in geography book. How did adults seem to the poet when he was a child? As a child, the poet considered all the adults as an epitome of love and sincerity. He believed that their love was true and they were ready to do anything for their loved ones. It is question number 6 now. Here you will know, bring out the hypocrisy that the adults exhibit with regard to love. Here you can understand, as the poet grew up, he could make out the double standards followed by adults. He realized that though adults preached of love and talked of love, their behavior was totally different and full of manipulation. They were all hypocrites who behaved differently from the way they talked. Now question number 7. What did the poet notice about independent thinking? How important was this discovery? The poet discovered that he was different from others and could think independently. He could have his own opinions without getting influenced by anyone else. This discovery was very important to him as it revealed to him his abilities for independent thinking and decision. Question number 8. What is the poet trying to convey when he says that childhood is hidden in an infant's face? So you can know about its answer. The poet says an infant is really innocent as it trusts everyone and does not try to fool others. The poet brings out this fact by contrasting it with behavior of adults who become manipulative and are hypocrites. As a person develops rational thoughts, his childlike innocence fades away. Now it is question number 9. According to Marcus Nathan, when does the child become an adult? Becoming an adult is a complex process which is associated with physical, mental, and social development. A child becomes an adult when he is able to live his own life and take care of his responsibilities individually. He also develops his own thought process using which he can form his own beliefs and opinions. That is the main thing. Question number 10 now. What is the poet's feeling towards his childhood? The poet regards childhood as a period of innocence, as it has been already told. A child sincerely feels that he is free from all evils and that there is really a hell and heaven. A child knows no hypocrisy. There is no difference between his thoughts and actions. In short, childhood is a state of innocence and purity of heart and mind.